probably get a notification. I think it's a legal requirement as well that when you're recording, I think in Australia it is a legal recording to actually say that you're being recorded. So just to let you know with that. All right, cool. So we've got about 20 people in here today. Some of you are hopefully in groups, so that we've got, you know, a few more than just the 20. But for those of you that are here, welcome, and I'm really glad that you're able to come along. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take you through. Why did that person not automatically come in? Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through Teams. Just give you a little bit of a basic of the actual call so that you can personalize this and make this as, you know, as good as it can possibly be, or optimize it for yourself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to share my screen. And when I do, I'm going to share the call screen. All right, so that looks like that. So you can see this is what I see. And this is what helps me, right? When I'm presenting, it's really good to be able to see you guys and see what you're doing. So a few things, let's go through some of the basics, okay? So sitting up here is your camera button up here. So, and if you're coming in on a browser, it may actually be these buttons may be in different places. And if you're coming through a browser, you may find some of these features are not there. So you may want to get the app, all right? And you can do that at recess or at morning tea. See, I'm a teacher. Talking about recess. Actually, South Australia, I have to talk about recess. I know how to say it. We have your camera up here to be turned on and off, so you can see I can turn myself on and off. You've also got your microphone there as well, so the ability to mute and unmute. And then I have the ability to share my screen because I am the presenter, but you'll probably find that that's missing for yourself. But if at any time during the day we do want you to present, then I can switch that on for you through some of the settings that I have. But you can come over here to the show participants button. Now this again is going to look a little bit different from yours to mine because I own the call. But you can see I've got myself and Cindy here as presenters, and actually, why don't I stop there and quickly let Cindy introduce herself, because I think it's important so I don't forget. Cindy's from the department and she's awesome.
Hey everyone, thanks Troy. Yeah, welcome to the program. So most of you would have received my emails before to register, and we may have met already. So I'll just be sitting in the background answering any questions specific to our environment. I can also do follow-up calls and everything as well. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Cool, thanks for that, Cindy. Now you're noticing what I did then was I actually spotlighted her, which means that is everybody gets to see Cindy come up on the screen like that. But what you can do if you find someone really attractive or something that's really important is going on in their window, you can actually pin them, which is clicking on the little 3 ellipses here and pin them. And then that's just for you. Okay, so whilst you guys are all seeing this because this is on your screen, that's actually just for you, whereas Spotlight will show for everybody. All right, and as a presenter I have the ability to spotlight. I'm not sure that you guys do. All right, so you can see the presenters down here. I also have the ability to, I see there I can pin, I can spotlight, I can make that person a presenter, and if they're really annoying me I can remove them from the meeting as well. I'm showing you this because when you use this with the students, as you may have during lockdown, things change and things get updated all the time, but nevertheless you can see what's possible. So that's the participants there. I can also not allow the attendees to unmute, so I might have a little darling in my class that is driving me wild. I can click that as well. I can set permissions for the meeting, and I can also download an attendance list, which is telling me who's there at that point during the meeting. Now the other thing that we've got is the chat, and that's that little chat icon over here. So you can all click on that for me now, and I want everybody to say hi. You can throw in emojis, you can throw in stickers and bits and pieces. So if you wouldn't mind doing that for me now. So there we go. People have started. So again, clicking on the conversation tab and just get in there and start saying hi. Excellent. Very good. Okay, so you can do that during the course of the day. If you've got something to say or you want to express yourself, go through the chat. And also, as Cindy said, she'll be monitoring the chat. If you have a burning question that you want me to answer then and there, feel free to come off mute. This is a class, not a lecture, all right? So please come off mute and say what you want to say. But if you're feeling shy, or you're feeling like it's not quite, the flow of the meeting, throw it in the chat and Cindy will monitor that and either answer it or get back to, make me aware of it at some point later on. The other thing that we've got here is the raise hand and the emotions features here. So for example, if you're feeling good about something, you may want to applaud, and then what will happen is it will start to show up across the screens. So I think because I'm in large gallery mode at the moment, it's a bit hard to see, but if you're feeling, you want to put your thumbs up, you want to say heart, you want to say applause, or you want to say smiley face, go ahead and throw one of those in as well. So that's up in this icon here. And yeah, I think it's because I'm in this mode that we can't see them, but normally when we're back in normal mode, we'll be able to see them. The other thing is the raise hand. Okay, so if you want to raise your hand to ask a question, I as a presenter will actually see that. So Cindy, do you want to try raising your hand? And let's see if it's going to come up for me. Okay, so you can see down the bottom here. If I was in another view, then it would actually draw a yellow box around Cindy as well. But you can see there, that's what happens. So you can raise and lower your own hand. We've got breakout rooms as well. We won't be using them today. We will be doing some group work, but we won't be using the breakout rooms feature, but that's in there as well when you're the owner of the meeting. What's really important to note, guys, is these 3 dots here, these ellipses, because there is more happening, more goodness down here. So first of all, you've got device settings. Now, I will say that if any time during the day today you lose video and sound and it can't be restored and you're fluffing around, just leave the call and rejoin, okay? It's a known issue. But device settings are here that if you're having trouble with your speakers, your microphones or your camera inside the call, that can all be set up inside the call rather than having to go down into your Windows settings or your Mac settings or whatever you happen to be using. That can be done from inside the call. Okay, meeting options is for me to set the permissions inside the meetings. We could be running meeting notes. I can see the meeting details as well. Now, these 3 here, and very soon these buttons are actually going to move over to here, and they already have in my Microsoft space, but for you guys, they're still over here. First of all, we have the gallery view. Now the gallery view gives me a 3x3 view, all right? So it gives me 9 people on the screen at once, which is great for small meetings. And that's when, Cindy, if you want to raise your hand again, raise your virtual hand for me. Yep, you can see now I can see the box. And for example, if you guys started doing your applause and that kind of stuff, I'd be able to see that all now. So that's one of the cool things about gallery view. But large gallery view is where we want to see everybody. All right, so I want to make sure that I can see everybody's faces and I get the response. But what's really nice is we have this thing called together mode, which you may or may not have seen. And you can turn on those views and it doesn't affect everybody, right? So for example, here we go. I can now look at everybody in the class like this. And then over here, there's a little thing called change scene. Now I want to stress, when you change the scene for everybody, not just for you. You can go into together mode, fine. You can look at that by yourself. Oh, look, this guy's dancing over here. And you can change the scene by clicking here. And let's make it, the one that everybody loves is this one here, but it's only 10 people at a time. So some of you are going to get bumped out. But look at that, we can start swimming around in here, which is kind of fun. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? And you can imagine with the kids, it's a lot of fun. And then you can, smaller group ones, larger group ones, etc. So let's go into this one. And we're all sitting in some sort of futuristic Starship Troopers kind of spot. Yeah, which is kind of cool. See, and so because some of you have turned your cameras off, you're not part of this, right? So turn them back on, gosh. All right, so that's how we do that. We change scene. Now remember, if you do change the scene, then you change it for everyone, all right? So keep that in mind. So let's try and keep it something with, a large number of seats, above sort of, 15 so that we all get included in there. All right, so welcome back, everyone. Good. Excellent. So that's what together mode looks like. And but I tend to find I like the large gallery view. But for what it's worth, it's not just about fun. It's actually trying to simulate an auditorium style experience. And one of the articles that I read is saying that it will actually reduce the cognitive load on having to go boom, 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 boom across the screen to all the people. You know, when you're presenting, you get to see everyone in a group. And so as a class, the kids are seeing each other as a group, you're seeing the kids as a group, let alone in adult meetings. Okay. So, so that's together mode, and that's the gallery and large gallery view. You've got the ability to make it into a full screen, which is cool. You can apply your background effects. By applying your background effects, you can use our existing photos and existing graphics, and none of them are coming up. Why are they not coming up? Let's try that again. This is at Microsoft, we say the demo gods are not smiling. Okay, so what would happen if you guys go in, you'll probably hopefully see that your pictures will appear here, and then you can even add new pictures as well, right? So I could bring in pictures that are on my, I could download something, you know, go and find a cool picture, and that can be in my background as well. All right, so that lives in there. The other thing is turning on live captions. Now, live captions is really cool because it will actually identify who is speaking, and then it will start to bring the captions up along the bottom of the screen. And this is just for me, not for everyone. So when you turn it on, you will see yourself. Sorry, you will see the captions only on your screen, no, you're not turning it on for everyone. All right. So keep that in mind. It will identify multiple languages, but it will not translate. But the roadmap says translate, real-time translation is coming. All right, so it'll identify, I think it's like 11 languages that if you start speaking these languages, it'll actually identify them and start captioning them. All right, so that's that. The other thing that you can do is you can, obviously I can record from in here, and I can turn off incoming video. So obviously we can turn off our external video, but incoming is if we've got low bandwidth or some sort of internet issues, we can reduce the amount of data coming through and have a better call experience. Okay, so that is the Teams calls, and hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the Teams call? Come off mute or forever hold your peace. No? Okie dokie. Okay, chatty bunch. I did Victoria 2 days ago and they were just as chatty as you. So it's great if you could keep your camera on so I can see you. That would be really helpful. All right, so what we're going to do now though is we're going to go into the team, the team itself. So you've come into a Teams call, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all you lovelies and I'm going to bring you down here so I can see you while I talk. So this is the team. Now I'm coming in through the browser, but you can come in through the Teams app, obviously. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you through a very basic tour of Teams, and then I'm going to explain to you all about the resources and everything that we've got in place for you today. So when you come into Teams, whether you come in through the browser, whether you're on a PC, whether you're on a Mac, it doesn't matter. You're going to have the same experience. So we've got the activity tab up here. The activity tab is just like in Facebook. It's going to bring up everything that's somehow relevant to me, and you know, all the different, you know, mentions, people have tagged me, things that I'm following are all going to turn up here, and I get these little, you know, little red dots up here that tell me that there's things waiting for me in the activity feed. I've got chat for private messaging. Okay, so different to posts or conversations. When we have posts in the team, it's for everybody to see, but when we're in chat, just like on Facebook, it's a private message, right? So you can start looking up your friends in the department through here, or people that are in the meeting today, and you can send them hopefully appropriate messages. We've got the teams as well. So this is where the teams live. I just clicked back on that all teams button. You see I'm only a member of a couple of teams in the department, and if I have any hidden teams, well, look, there's a number of them, they live down here as well. So that's just to help me clear things up, right? I'm still a member of them, I'm just hiding them. So this is our team here today. So when we click on this, it brings me into the team. Now, remember, if I want to go back to all my teams, I just make sure I'm in teams here, and I click on all teams, and that takes me back to my teams like that. I've got assignments, okay, so because we're in an education tenant, so when I'm setting assignments for my students, that lives there. I've got my calendar as well. It is connected to my Outlook calendar, so things that exist in my Outlook calendar will also exist here. And there are some features and setting calls, scheduling calls, etc. inside Teams that are better done inside here, but there's also some connections to Outlook and we can set them inside Outlook as well. So that's my calendar. You can see, because I'm in your tenant, I'm in the department tenant, which is not my normal one. I wasn't very busy this week in what I'm doing with the department. Trust me, if you saw my calendar, you would know. I'm super busy. So over here, we've got files, okay? Now these are all my OneDrive. If you don't know what OneDrive is, hold fast. I'm going to come back and talk about that today. But these are my personal files, and these are all my Microsoft Teams files as well. Okay, so these are all my personal files. These are all the shared files that I've got access to. And down here, I can add cloud storage, right? And it looks like we can add, only in here is Ignite, whatever the heck that is. So forget about that. All right. So that's what that looks like down the side here with our side tabs, all right? Now, when we come back into our team, which is our STP eLearning Leaders Institute, this is where all our, obviously this is where we're learning today. Here's our call over here, which we're in now, and the chat is happening under here as well as inside the call. And you can see here I've got these channels, okay? Now, these channels are all different domains that we will be working with today. Right, so we're going to be looking at Microsoft 365, the Educator Program, OneDrive, etc., even our project. Please note, you have a project. And then we have our different schools as well, which are in this space. And so you will later today be going into your school channel and working with your group. The other thing too, just while we're here, I have left an example team from, I'm not even going to try and say that. How do we say that? Is it Yankalil? How do I say that, Cindy?
Yankalilla.
Yankalilla. Yeah, I want to say Yankalalia, but I don't think, yeah. So that's a previous school. So if you want to see the work that they did, that's actually living in there. So when we're talking about the project, that's going to become more relevant to you. But we have a general channel, and then you have all these other channels which come up alphabetically, which is why I've numbered them. So each channel has, so I'm going to come into Microsoft 365 first as this channel here. Each channel has posts where we can start to talk. Okay, so I could reply to this conversation by clicking reply, or I could start a new conversation. So anything that's around Microsoft 365 could happen in here. And we've also got the files. So any files that are stored in this space will live up here in the file section. Okay, you can come in and you can grab those and you can just click on them, for example, and download them and all that kind of thing. We will keep this team open till our next STP, so you will be able to access everything in here at least until the middle of the year, all right? But you can download things if you want. What I've also got is we've got a notes section, which is connected to OneNote. Come back to that in a minute. But I've also put up tabs across here, right? So you can see here I've got the M365 education support page, right? So what I've done is I've actually built a tab, and we'll learn how to do this when we look at Teams. But I've built a tab in here so that you can just come straight into here and be finding that. It's just a web page. If you're thinking, hey, that's a really good web page, I want to keep that for myself. See this little globe over here? You click on that, that will open your default browser, and that'll open in your normal browser, and you can bookmark it and save all that kind of stuff as well. All right, so we've got posts for conversation. We've got files for our files. We've got tabs across the top as well. All right, and that's true of all these different areas. So, for example, if you think, wow, I really want to find out more about Minecraft, when you come in here to Minecraft, you will be able to find the discussion if we have any, the files if we have any, and any tabs across the top will be here as well. Okie doke. Now, when we are in the general channel, there's a couple more things going on. Okay, so I've definitely put some tabs across the top, like the digital technologies curriculum, the ICT general capability, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. The feedback form, I don't know if that's current, Cindy, but that tab is still there. And we've got assignments, okay, so that if I was setting assignments, because this is a class team, I wanted you guys to get experience as a student, what it looks like. I could be setting assignments, students can be submitting their assignments, etc., all happening inside Teams, and I can also be looking at my grade book. But what I want to draw your attention to here is Class Notebook. So I'm in the general channel, and I'm over here at Class Notebook, boys and girls, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. So I'm going to click here on Class Notebook. And what I have built for all of you inside the class notebook is I've built a little bit of space for you to keep your notes in here today. Now, you don't have to use this. There's no expectation for you to use this, but you can see I've got a collaboration space, which is where we could work together. We've got a content library, which is where I would upload all my content if I wanted to, which I haven't. I've got a teacher only section, and then you each have alphabetically your own little space in here. So for example, if let's look at Simon from Mitcham Girls. When we click on that, Simon has a space for his class notes, okay? And he can be adding more pages and keeping his notes in here. And he's also got a space if he wants to work on his project as well. All right, so, and you can see Simon hasn't done anything yet, but you have a space in there that lives inside the team. You could open it externally in a browser if you want more room, or you could even open it in the desktop app of OneNote if you wanted that as well. But that's there for you to use if you want to, but as I said, no obligation to use that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the basic exploration of Teams. So as you go through today, like for example, when we jump into Microsoft 365, which is coming up in a moment, I'm about to sneeze, give me a moment. No, not going to happen. All right, so as we go through today, remember, this is where your resources are. So there may be stuff to download in files. There's definitely going to be tabs across the top for things for you to grab. All right. So keep that in mind. The other thing is when we are in the chat, when we are in the chat for the call, which is up here, right? So we come back into the call. You can @mention people. So we can see Ben Anderson is there. I can start looking for Ben. I start type Ben. And then I'm just going to delete that and say, hi there, mate. Okay. And then what's going to happen is Ben's going to get a notification saying that this is called out to him. But when we are down in the actual team, we can also start a new conversation and we can @mention a person. So I might want to @mention Cindy. Okay. And then she will get a notification when I post that. But I could also @mention the channel. So I might want everyone that's following that channel, I might want to @mention it. So I start typing channel, which is the general channel I'm here, but if I was in somewhere else, it would be a different channel. Okay, and as I start to type that, channel, and then everyone following that channel will get that announcement as well, or get that notification. Or I might want to follow @mention the entire team. So there's the STP eLearning leaders. So everybody in the team is now going to get a notification to that as well. All right, so just keep that in mind. You're probably used to @mentioning on Facebook and Twitter and these other things as well. Same kind of experience. So what we've really done is we've taken the social media experience and brought it into your work life. Okay, so that's that. Oh, and there goes the dogs. I have 2 of them, and they will do that at different points in the day. Rightio, so that's Teams. Does anyone have any questions about Teams before we move on?
I had a quick question, if I could, Troy.
Yeah, please.
Just before, when you were in the OneNote and you had the different sections for each of the participants there today, are those sections, are they sort of gated so only that participant can access that? Correct. Or can I go in and see what Scott from Mitcham Girls has done? As a
teacher, you have access to everything, but as students, you only have access to each other. So the view that I gave you then was the teacher's view, so you saw everybody. But when you go in your space, you're only going to see yourself, right? You can't see the other students.
Excellent, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Troy, I've got a quick question.
Please.
So I'm on a MacBook at the moment and I'm in my Teams app. I'm wanting to take notes in the class notebook while we are obviously in the PD. When I go into my Teams app, our call minimizes, but it prioritizes your camera and not your share screen. Is there a way that I can change that?
Yeah, look, and I don't want to diminish using the Mac, but I don't know enough about it to answer exactly how it operates on the Mac. However, you can open a web page, okay, and go through your browser, and you can keep that open at the same time, and then you could split your screen.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing now. You can see that, well, you can't see, I've turned it off, but I'm actually coming through the browser while I'm demoing because I'm in the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I do. And that's true of a Windows device as well, to be honest. Yep. Sika, did you have a question?
Yep. I missed the point you want to show us about the seat arrangement. I'm not sure how can you get it.
Sorry, the what?
The gallery, the gallery seat.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep. I'll quickly show you that. So
Thank you.
I'm just going to share my screen again so that everyone can see that with you. So when you come into the call, now assuming that you're coming in through the app, there's three little dots up here. Click on that and your gallery, large gallery and together mode should be here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Excellent. All right. Well, if nobody has any more, well, maybe you do have more questions. Does anyone have any more questions? No? Okay, very good. So let's get moving. So what we're going to do now, having explored Teams, I'll take you to the next one, and we've seen Class Notebook. We're going to now learn a little bit about each other. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to turn your camera on and come off mute. If you remember, we are being recorded, so if you don't want to participate in this, that's your choice. But I would like to ask everybody to come off, and we're going to get people to introduce their school and everybody in their school, right? So, you know, you can just be, hi, I'm Fred, this is Wilma, Varney, Pebbles and Bam Bam. We are from such and such a school, and then tell me about your school, okay? So one person introducing each school. So maybe let's make it so you're not all looking at each other wondering who's going to do it. Let's make it the most senior person in your school. Actually, let's turn that around. Let's make it the most junior person in your school gets to do this. So, and that can just be however you determine that. All right, of what you mean by junior and senior, but the most junior person has to introduce the school, to tell us a little bit about the school, a little bit about the people that you're working with, and feel free to, don't be too honest, and feel free to tell us a little bit about technology in your school as well. So let's go for it. First school?
I'll go first.
Please.
Stacey from Penola Primary School. I'm here with Anna Copping, our principal, and Julianne Williams, our STEM teacher. I'm new to Penola Primary this year and really excited about exploring Microsoft, that new platform, and implementing it across our school.
Cool. And what's going on with technology at your school?
We have a NIT subjects designated to the technologies and STEM, which Julianne takes, as well as implemented across other curriculum areas in the classrooms. So Julianne has a wealth of knowledge around STEM, especially. So
cool. Very good. Thank you for that, Stacey. Next school, somebody else want to step out? See, Penola's done now, so you can be feeling just like them if you wanted to jump in.
You probably won't be able to see me because I don't have a webcam at the moment, but hopefully you can hear me.
We can.
My name's Dave Phillips from Port Perry West Primary School. I am the only one on site sitting in at the moment, so you get to listen to me. I suppose we're in a bit of a sort of a transitional phase. We're trying to sort of work out what we've got. We were lucky enough, we've just had an ICT audit done to sort of have a look at our infrastructure and what we've got around the school to give us an idea of where we need to go. So that's part of our process now. We have a pretty phenomenal STEM space, which actually probably doesn't get utilised as well as it should. So that's part of our process over the next couple of years, is to get classes into that STEM space using using it for what it needs to be used for. And with the Microsoft 365, it's obviously the communication side of things is where we sort of want to start with our staff in particular, and then bring our students into it, sort of get people on board with that and improve the way we do things.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that, and welcome Port Pirie. I see Kevin's got his hand up from Mitcham Girls.
Hi everyone. My name's Kevin from Mitcham Girls. I'm here with Shane and Femia. I'm new to the school, so I'm just, getting a handle of what 365 is in the school, but I used it extensively at my previous school. I've had a big play with Teams and assignments. I'm dabbling in OneNote now, so keen to get my head around OneNote and how to use that in the classroom. That's us. And
okay, very good. Thanks, Kevin. Brilliant. Next school.
I can go for the School of Languages.
Please.
So my name's Carolyn. We're here with a couple of people. The School of Languages is a really unique school. It's a department school. It's technically ARTA 12, but how I've gotten around to describing it is we kind of subcontract our language learning to other department schools. So we go to other schools and teach languages. We do run some classes on site, but I guess in terms of our school's technology space, because we're not a day school, we don't have really a lot of that dedicated technology system going on. But those of us from my school here, we're on a committee where we're transitioning basically all of our schools admin and file storage and all of that kind of stuff onto Teams. So we're on a committee, we're learning about Teams, and then we'll be teaching our colleagues so that we can start working from Teams as of next year.
Brilliant. That's wonderful. Thanks for that. Next school. Yes, Matthew, go for it.
Hi, I'm Matthew Buckingham. I've got Matt Griffiths next to me here. We're from Corner Area School. I found out about this a couple of days ago, but I'm looking forward to it. We know there's a lot more things that we can do to help our learners progress than what I currently know about. I'm the 5-6 teacher here. Matt's the head of the high school. So we'd like to be able to roll this out across our entire site and get everybody on the same page so that our entire site could progress.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thanks for that.
Nice.
Welcome. Next school, please. Come on. There's more than 4 schools here. Let's have a look at the schools we've got. Golden Grove High, are you here? Golden Grove High. Okay. Theberton Senior, are you here? Okay, so what schools do we have here today? So we've got who? We've got the School of Languages, we've got Mitcham Girls, we've got Penola, we've got Corn Area. And that's it, is it? Oh no, we've got Windvale, ARTA 7. Kim, are you willing to come off and talk to us? Maybe not. Oh, okay, she says we're on a desktop computer, so so no mic and no webcam. Okay, cool. Port Pirie, yep, you guys have said something to us, haven't you? Yeah. All right. I'm just going to let you now know you have overtaken Victoria as lack of willingness to talk group. But okay, let's keep moving. So now that you know about each other and now that you're aware of each other, hopefully that means that you can reach out to each other either through the team or as you know you're on similar journeys. So if you know, if you hear today that one school's doing something that sounds interesting, or over the next couple of days, I should say, not just today, then you can reach out to them, right? Because they're in the attendee list, and you can reach out to them through Teams, or you can email them, whatever it is that you need to do. All right, so let's keep moving then. He says, as we don't keep moving. All right, so let's talk about the STP. At Microsoft, we love acronyms because your school is a part of a whole school program, and you're obviously, you know, a subsection of that has come along. So I want to give you a sense of the whole program. It is a free professional learning program built by Microsoft to implement your school's unique digital transformation strategy, right? So taking you guys well into the 21st century in terms of technology. We wanted something that was going to have lasting impact, because we knew that just doing, you know, teacher-only PD is not enough. Because what happens is you go back to the school, the principals or the vice principals don't get it, and then, you know, it doesn't advance. Or the IT person at your school doesn't understand what you're trying to achieve, and you hit blockers with them as well. So we wanted to build something that was going to be whole school, that you guys would start talking to each other. So different domains in the school start talking to each other, but also that you have a unified vision and a unified purpose. So we looked at what constitutes effective professional development, right? So we looked at you know, at research. My dog's squeezing on his toy there. That was quite cute. So we looked at research, and we thought, what can we do now? We are not with you all the time. So what good PD looks like from a school's perspective is going to be different to what we can offer. But knowing what we're aiming for and our limitations, this is what we started to look at, right? And that is, the consensus largely says that PD needs to be intensive and include follow-up and on-site support for teachers. It needs to have active learning opportunities for teachers, which includes practice, feedback, and reflection. So there needs to be doing, as well as input, as well as you reflecting on yourself, which is why we have a project in this part. It needs to utilize the expertise of teachers, and I think that there's a degree of respect in there, that teachers need to be seen respectfully and as professionals. And then you work within the department, cultivating leaders and involving the teachers in the planning. And you'll see that when we look at not just the planning of the professional development, but you as teachers who are going to be running professional development, you can actually implement some of this as well. The other thing is that the Good PD provides structures that facilitate collaboration among teachers, both within and across schools. All right, so it's about working together, which is why when you were invited to this workshop, your school leaders were told there has to be at least 2 people. Right, so if you're here alone and you don't know why, someone's not sick or something, then you can cast a knowing glance at your principal at some point later on. But the idea is to come together so that you can work within the school, but also across schools, right? Which is why we bring you as a cohort together like this, and hopefully you will connect with each other and work together. So what does it look like? Well, the first thing that we have is a Transforming Education Leadership Seminar. We've run 2 days of that. It's a one-day workshop, but we've run it twice. And it is for your principals, deputy principals, e-learning digital leaders, curriculum leaders, etc. Okay, so that's what that's about, and that's where they build the vision and they understand what the potential is for what the department has actually made available to them through the Microsoft platform. E-Learning Leaders Institute, welcome to it. You're in the middle of it. So this is to upskill at you for you to be able to deliver professional development. So this is why you are an e-learning leader, okay? So it's definitely, in the other workshop, it's all about building the vision, etc. But here you are learning to deliver PD, and we'll come back to that in a minute because it's quite important. So, you know, e-learning leaders, digital leaders, curriculum leaders, and any aspiring classroom teachers as well, we'll welcome along to today. The inclusive classroom, this is where you learn how the Microsoft technologies can support students with learning and physical needs. So we look at the technology that you have already at your fingertips and how you can use that in good practice to reach these kinds of students. So usually that's the learning support leaders, the teachers, teacher aides, support professionals, etc. If this grabs your fancy, and I promise you this is probably one of our best workshops of the whole program, and people come back to us all the time and say, I did 3 of them, this was the one. Go back to your principal and ask to be released to this. There's 3 options to come along to this. So we'd love to see you there. The IT Pros Day, which is 2.5 hours, that's obviously for IT managers, IT directors, IT service staff in your school, or if you outsource to a third party, to a company, they can come along as well. And it's to how to best support schools to manage and deploy Microsoft technologies. You know how it is. Some IT pros, and I say guys in an inclusive sense, some of them are just wonderful, and others will sit there and go, I'm not turning it on. And so we have to reach them, and we have to explain to them why that they need to understand that this stuff is actually about teaching and learning and not about control. All right. The other thing that we've already run is the Discover Microsoft 365 for Newbies Day. So I want to stress this right now, and sorry if this sounds patronizing, but I do want to stress this. This workshop that you are in is not a how-to or an introduction to Microsoft 365. That has already run. And some of you are actually in that session, which is really good. What are you doing, doggy? Excuse me, doggy's pulling things apart. Hold on. No. She pulls the track. We had a new track put on the slide door, and she's pulling it off, and it cost us like $300. And I'm like, no, doggy, don't do that. Yeah. So that was what that was. Okay. Now that has been recorded though. So if you missed that and you're thinking, oh, actually, I do want to get the basics, then you can reach out to Cindy, and she will share the link with you so you can watch that recording if you want. But that was a whole day workshop. Those of you that did do that and are doing this now, there is some overlap. And but we're going to be looking at these things through a different lens than we looked through that day. So again, sorry if that sounded a bit patronizing, but I just wanted to make sure that you understand that this day was about the introduction, and you are welcome to go back and view that recording. All right. Now, what happens at the end of the school transformation program is your school can stop there and say, thank you very much. We feel very transformed, and that's the end of it. But what your school can do is they can move over into what's called the Showcase School program. Okay, so think of this as a kind of an incubator where we're introducing you to all the amazing things. Then you can move over into the Showcase School program and start to become a Microsoft Showcase School. But it is quite rigorous, and it's a select entry program. You don't just come along and be a part of it. So you have to actually commit to these different 6 steps as a school: commitment to transform, culture of learning and growth, personalized learning and inclusion, future-ready skills, data-driven decision, and also the Microsoft Solutions impact, which means that 60% of the school is using Teams, 90% of the teachers and students are using Office exclusively, and then 60% of the schools are on Windows 10 and that kind of thing. Now, remembering what you're in today doesn't need to be doing this, but if your school at the end of today goes, hey, that's awesome, we want to keep moving, then we invite you to become a Showcase School. Okie doke. All right, any questions about the STP and the school transformation program before we move on? While my dogs have the cutest fight in the world over my shoulder. No? Okay, cool. Then let's keep moving. And thank you to those that have left their cameras on. I can see you, and it's I've got a second screen, and it's really nice to see you all there. All right, so the eLearning Leaders Institute, which you are in now, is our goals are to be exposed to the many Microsoft technologies and resources that support student-centered learning. Remember up there, I said exposed, not mastery. So lower your expectations, okay, in terms of, I'm going to walk away today knowing everything about Microsoft. Good luck. I've been doing it for I'm in my 5th year now, and I have no idea. Someone says, I'd love to see the dogs, Troy. Oh, okay. In a moment, I'll get Lola, especially because she's the puppy and she's just gorgeous. I'll show you her in a minute. We're going to experience hands-on activities and participate in best practice conversations for innovative tools innovative teaching with ICT tools. So we will go down into group work a little bit later on and do that, and we will also have whole group discussions as well. You're going to learn to apply the Microsoft resources and staff development programs available to professional development facilitators. I am going to show you, here's all the stuff that exists that you can use for motivating, teaching, creating awareness, all these different areas, and you're going to be able to go back and when you do your project and ongoing with your school, you're going to have access to all these resources. So please note, we are the lens of this as trainers. Certainly we are learners, but trainers. We're going to explore the ADCAR change management model, which is not a Microsoft thing. It's a change management, a research-based change management model, and its application to the school context. As a matter of fact, this is going to be one of the pillars of your project. So we're going to explore what the ADCAR change management model looks like and how we apply it to our schools. And then also, as I said, we're going to build our assignment around the ADCAR change management model, because my experience of 20-something years in education and 16 years in schools is that schools are not very good at implementing change at all. And when they do, oftentimes things fall flat. There's a lot to learn from business. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that. We'll connect our learning to the Australian curriculum. We're going to do that very soon. Then you're going to commence building a strategy and plan. This is your project to move your colleagues through the crawl, walk, run framework. Okay, so that'll make more sense in a minute. But basically, it's beginners, intermediate, and advanced. That's a framework that we're going to use, and you're going to pick a group in your school, and you're going to move them and advance them from one of these areas to the next. And then lastly, you will be certified as Microsoft Innovative Educator Trainers. That is, you will become certified by us as a trainer, so you can put that on your CV, you can put that on your LinkedIn page, and it is a genuine certification. Okie doke. Any questions about that while I go and get my dog? And I can hear you, so shout out. Go for it. Here you go. She's running. Any questions about that? No? All right, I'm going to turn my screen share off, and then I'm going to highlight myself, spotlight myself, so you guys can see me. Can you guys see that? Yep, you're welcome to come off mute if you want. This is Lola. She is a gorgeous little puppy that we've just bought. Yeah, so hopefully you can see her. Now, you see those memes about people that bring their dogs to the video calls. So that's why I didn't, but yeah, she is gorgeous and she's making lots of noise. We've got another dog. He's 4 years old. His name is Elvis. And so, yeah, they're playing around and fighting. You got to look at them, sweetheart. Otherwise they can't see you. All right, anyway, there you go. So that's Lola. All right, off you go. Go and play. All right, and don't chew that freaking thing. All right, very good. So I'm going to keep moving with our little presentation. Yes. So the other thing that I want to share with you that's important to note, and I will stop spotlighting myself. There we go. All right. Really important to note. And that is, and I've hinted at this already. This workshop is about you looking through the lens of a trainer. You looking through the lens of someone gearing up to move other people in your school. Okay. So as I said before, if you want to go back and, I'll get a basics of M365 and all that, and we will do a little bit of that, I promise. But if you want to do a deeper dive into the basics, go back and check out that video. And as again, Cindy will make that available to you. But the lens today and for our next session as well is you are looking at this as a trainer, and you are looking at how you are going to roll out adoption and usage of these tools in a truly educational context inside your school. Okay, so I just want to stress that, because if I don't, sometimes people come back and say, "Oh, I was hoping to learn all about Word." No, that's not why we're here. Okay. All right. If you do want to hashtag and post on social media, there it is. There, it's hashtag MSTP 2021. We welcome you to do that, so that others around the country know what you're doing. Remember, there are other cohorts. There's a South Australian cohort. There's a Victorian cohort. There's New South Wales, Queensland, WA, and then we have independents as well. Independent schools have got their own cohort. So you're part of a much bigger group, not just your own little gang here today. So this is our mission statement. Our mission is to empower every person and every organisation on the planet to achieve more. And that really is how Microsoft sort of position ourselves. We want to support you to achieve what you want to achieve. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a little video all about the awesomeness of Microsoft and in the education context, and then we'll come back. Now, if this lags for you, it could be my internet, it could be your internet, but hopefully for most of you, you're going to actually have a good little experience of this video.
With our new implementation of Windows 10, I'm able to do re-imaging without the need for the IT department to intervene. That's a big win.
I could be the first generation in my house to get a college degree.
Azure saves me 2 days of work configuring the server. So instead, we can focus on studying our data and asking the interesting questions.
Microsoft allows us to make daily and weekly adjustments on the fly, which allows us to be proactive rather than reactive. We're literally changing the trajectory of students' lives.
Okay, I just dropped my jokes and realized I was on mute. Anyway, so this is the Microsoft K-12 Education Transformation Framework. The leaders worked more in depth with this. Now, going into our Microsoft 365 channel, which I think is, I think I started with channel 3, just to leave myself some room in case I want to slip something else in. So the channels are over here. Oop, no, let me. The channels are over here, and channel 3 is Microsoft 365. So this is where we are. Okay, so we've got some links up here around the ETF and stuff, so you can download those if you want, or click on those if you want. But what the ETF is the ETF is the Education Transformation Framework, and I told you we love an acronym. We looked at practice and research around the world, and so we're in a unique position that we're working with various countries, you know, multiple countries and multiple, you know, departments within countries and independent schools, etc. And so we get a really unique view. And so we built this Education Transformation Framework with some very, very talented technology people, very, very talented education people came together and built this out for us. And so this is the framework that Microsoft uses. And I invite you, those of you that have that lend yourselves towards research and want to say, you know, what does the research say, Troy? You can go in and access that. All right. So aka.ms/ETF, or you can go into the channel. Now, what we've done is we've got a book for you that you can download, and it is there in the ETF book link is there inside the team. You just have to fill in a form and then you get it as download as a PDF. This reads like a university textbook. It's got a lot of the why, right? Not a whole lot of the how, but a lot of the why. Why is this important? Why are we trying? What are we trying to achieve? But there's some good templates and frameworks in there for you to like checklists and stuff there you can see that you can work through. All right, so that's an ebook that we invite you to download as well. And if you're in a browser, it's aka.ms/ETF book. Please notice it's ETF, not EFT. But you can also grab it from the chat inside the team. Sorry, from the tab inside the team. And again, what that looks like is over here, channel 3 ETF book. Click on that, and it'll open the web page inside the browser, and then you can fill in the form and download that. All right, pretty easy. Now let's talk a little bit about your project. Because the project is the heart of this course. The leaders had some work to do on vision building. She's chewing on that thing. Hold on a sec. Sorry, guys. What are you doing? There you go. So the leaders have done a little bit of work as well, but you guys are going to be doing a lot of the legwork around the project. So what it looks like is we've got this crawl, walk, run framework, right? So that's, sorry, I'm going to have to close this door. Hashtag work from home. So what we've got here is the framework of the crawl, walk, and run. Now, you may not agree with how I have listed these things under crawl, under walk, under run, because you may say in our context it's actually somewhat different, and that's fine. As a matter of fact, part of your project is to reorganize this so that it reflects your context, okay? But the idea of crawl, right? And I've got things like, using Outlook, using Word, PowerPoint, maybe using the M365 apps, which is, traditional Office, and maybe using an LMS, a learning management system at your school. Your school may have one. And that's what we see as a lot with teachers. That's what we see as a lot with crawl. But then when we get into walk, well, then we're starting to get into things like, people are using the Microsoft Educator Center. They're doing Office Online and collaborating on documents. They're using OneDrive and the known folder move, and these will all become more apparent to you, etc. Teams with staff. Okay, you may have a staff team set up. And then run, well, we're using things like the inclusive classroom features and the class notebook. We're using Teams with our students. We're using Minecraft Education Edition, etc. Don't so much worry about the students, because this workshop is about training you and you training your teachers. But you can use the framework for the teachers, for the students as well, if you wanted to use this in another way. But what you're going to do with your project is you're going to take people from a group in your school. You're going to identify them, and you're going to take them from crawl to walk to run, or you're going to take them from walk to run. My little doggy's making so much noise. So you're not going to move the whole school. Maybe you will, though. And let me stress, you may have executive sponsorship in your school, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to do something big, and you're going to be a part of that. But for your project, it doesn't need to be anything huge. You might say, we're just going to take the Year 7 teaching team. We're going to take them from crawl to walk on in some area, right? And please don't be overwhelmed by this, because it's as big as you want to make it. Okay, so think of it as a pilot, that you're going to take a small group in your school and you're going to move them from crawl to walk, or from walk to run. What's wrong, sweetheart? He's scratching on the door. Can you guys? I don't know if you guys can hear that. Go on, quick. Go on. And it's getting old. I'm sorry about this, but she's a puppy. So that's what you're going to do. All right, you're going to execute that back at your school, and I will unpack this in more depth later, so don't feel overwhelmed by this. Just know that we're looking at everything through the lens of a project. All right, so it's sort of that backwards by design. I want you to understand where we're all going with this. After you have executed this in your school, okay, so you've gone back into school, you've got the rest of the semester to go back into your school and execute this project. Then what you're going to do, and you're going to do it as a group, which is why you needed to come into this as a pair or more. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a group presentation showing your plan, its execution, and your victories and challenges. It could be a PowerPoint, it could be a video recording, it could be a PDF, a Word document, or whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as it's clear to us what you were attempting to do, what you did, and what you learned from it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to upload, and you do it as a group, you're going to upload your group's presentation into the Files tab of Channel 13 in the team by the 28th of June, 2021. All right, so you've got a long time. All right, but you're going to upload that now. What that looks like is over here in the team. Oh, excuse me. Over here in the team, Channel 13 is our project, and over here in the file section, and that's where you'll upload, all right? But don't worry too much about that. I'm just letting you know that's what it's going to look like. But then what you need to do is each group member, so you do these two as a group, but then each group member is going to watch another presentation from another school in their category of school. So if you're a P12, you watch another P12. If you're a secondary, you watch another secondary. If you're primary, you watch another primary. And then you leave observations and constructive comments in channel 13 in the posts area. Okay, so you as a group will deliver your project, right? You'll build your project, deliver it at school. Then you will build a presentation. Then you'll upload the presentation, all that as a group. And then as individuals, you will come back and you will comment, watch someone else's presentation and then comment on that, all right? But none of this is happening synchronously, it's all asynchronously. That's why we're getting people to upload videos so you can do it in your own time. And that will be by the 14th of July. So it's a semester-long project, all right? That's what that looks like. Now, does anybody have any questions about the project? And remember, we haven't unpacked everything. We're just sort of getting a sense of the fact that there is a project and this is what we're working towards. Just not like you guys not to have anything to say. But okay, moving on. That's the project.
All good, Troy.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Kevin, and I appreciate you coming off mute and talking to me. Lovely. All right. Now let's talk curriculum. Okay. Yeah, it will be fun, Ben. It will be, because it'll be, you know, it'll be valid for your context, and it'll be what, you know, what you guys want to make of it. And yeah, a lot of people really enjoy it. So when we look at the Australian curriculum, there are two main areas that we think about when we think about ICT, when we think about technology, and that is the digital technologies curriculum and the ICT general capability. All right, so these are two, and they are not the same, and there is certainly some overlap. But what I'd like you to do, if you're feeling really brave, I want you to come off mute, okay? And I want you to tell what you think the digital technologies curriculum or what you think the ICT general capability is, and if you want, the difference between the two. All right, so what is the digital technologies curriculum? What is the ICT general capability? And what is the difference between the two? You can answer any one of those three questions, but you can also pop it in the chat and we can read things out of the chat if you're feeling really shy. But I'd really love you to come off mute and have a bit of a say.